Marcus had never expected his trip to the distant planet of Tyler 9 to turn into an adventure. He was a simple trader from Earth, sent to negotiate new terms for his planet's trade agreements. But as soon as he arrived, things began to take an unexpected turn. The towering spires of the alien city glistened under a blood-red sky, and the air was thick with a strange, unfamiliar energy. He felt a sense of awe and unease as he was led to the palace of Queen Zarathana. The queen was a proud, powerful alien. Her silver skin shimmered in the palace's grand hall, and her eyes gleamed with a sharp intelligence that was both intimidating and intriguing. She sat on her throne, surveying Marcus as if he were just another speck in her vast empire. Her daughter, Princess Lyra, stood quietly at her side, her face hidden behind a veil of mystery. Marcus wasn't sure why he was called here, but the tension in the room was undeniable. He had traveled across the galaxy for peaceful trade, not for political games or dangerous challenges. But as he knelt before the queen, her words hit him like a shockwave. "If you can defeat the beast that haunts this planet, you may marry my daughter, Lyra." The words were spoken with a casual ease, but Marcus felt the weight of the challenge. The queen's voice echoed in his mind as she continued, "No human has ever succeeded. I doubt you will be the first." Marcus straightened up, confusion and disbelief mixing within him. What kind of offer was this? Marry the queen's daughter. Defeat a beast that even the strongest warriors could not tame. He felt like he was caught in the middle of some alien legend. Princess Lyra, standing silently beside her mother, looked at Marcus with a strange expression. It was a mix of curiosity and something he couldn't quite place, perhaps pity, perhaps hope. "You don't have to accept." Lyra's soft voice broke through the tension. "It's a foolish test, one that no one has ever passed. But if you succeed, there is no telling what might happen." Her words hung in the air, the gravity of the situation setting in. The queen's voice cut through the moment. "It is not a request. It is a command. My daughter's future is at stake. If you wish to prove yourself, this is the way." Marcus could see the doubt in the queen's eyes. She believed no human could accomplish the impossible task she had set before him. The beast that had terrorized the planet for centuries was a creature of unimaginable power. It had killed hundreds, including some of the bravest warriors in the galaxy. No one had ever survived an encounter with it. He stared at the queen for a long moment, then looked at Lyra, who was watching him with a mixture of fear and hope. The challenge was clear, but the choice was his. "I accept," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the knot of doubt growing in his stomach. The queen raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised by his boldness. "You have no idea what you're agreeing to, human. The beast will tear you apart." Marcus nodded, unfazed. "I know, but I don't back down from a challenge." As the queen dismissed him from the throne room, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that he had just stepped into something far bigger than a trade negotiation. The stakes were higher than he had imagined. And now, the future of an entire planet, and a princess, rested on his shoulders. After Marcus left the queen's throne room, he couldn't help but feel a sense of uncertainty. The challenge ahead was dangerous, maybe even impossible, but something inside him pushed him forward. The queen had made it clear that if he succeeded, he could marry her daughter, Princess Lyra. But Marcus wasn't sure if that was the reason he had accepted the challenge. As he walked through the grand palace, the vast hallways echoing with each step, he found himself thinking about the princess. She had been so quiet throughout the entire meeting, standing beside her mother with an unreadable expression. There was something about her that intrigued him. Despite the wealth and power around her, she seemed distant, as if her heart was somewhere far away from the palace's cold walls. Later that day, Marcus was escorted to a small training area on the outskirts of the palace. It was a large open space filled with strange alien weapons that looked nothing like anything Marcus had seen on Earth. He stood there, staring at them, unsure of where to begin. The beast was legendary. Nothing could defeat it. Not even the most skilled warriors of the galaxy. As he fumbled with a strange sword, trying to find his grip, a soft voice interrupted his thoughts. You'll need more than just brute strength to defeat it. Marcus turned to see Princess Lyra standing at the entrance of the training area, her gaze focused on him. She was dressed in simple clothing, nothing like the royal gowns he had seen her wear earlier. There was no crown on her head, no air of royalty, just a young woman who seemed out of place in the palace, much like him. I thought you weren't supposed to talk to me, Marcus said, his voice a little more playful than he intended. He didn't want to show her how much doubt he was feeling. Lyra didn't smile, but she didn't seem angry either. Instead, she took a few steps forward, her eyes scanning the weapons around them. You don't understand what you're up against, she said quietly, her voice carrying a tone of both warning and sadness. The beast isn't just a creature. It's a force of nature. It's not something you can just fight with a sword. Marcus set the weapon down, looking at her. Then how do I defeat it? Lyra hesitated for a moment before answering. You don't fight it the way the others did. You need to outsmart it, not overpower it. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Outsmart it? How am I supposed to do that? I can't explain it all, she replied. But I can show you. I know the jungle where it lives. I've been there before. It's not just a place for hunters and warriors. It's a place of secrets. Marcus looked at her, his confusion deepening. You've been there. How? Lyra seemed to avoid his gaze. That's not important. What matters is that the beast isn't as invincible as everyone believes. As she spoke, Marcus could see the worry in her eyes. It wasn't just about the beast. There was something more going on, something that Lyra wasn't saying. He felt an unexpected pull to her, a sense of understanding that went beyond the challenge he had agreed to. But Lyra quickly turned and walked away. I'll help you, Marcus. But you must understand. My mother will never let you marry me, even if you succeed. Marcus watched her disappear down the hall, feeling both more determined and more confused. The Queen's challenge had seemed simple at first. But now, as he watched the princess retreat into the shadows of the palace, he realized that his journey was about more than just defeating a beast. It was about understanding a world that was much more complicated than he had ever imagined. And Lyra, she was a part of that world, one that Marcus had yet to fully understand. The next day, Marcus set out with Princess Lyra to the jungle where the beast was said to reside. The journey was long and tiring, with dense foliage stretching high above them, casting dark shadows on the forest floor. The air felt thick with the scent of damp earth and alien plants Marcus couldn't recognize. He had never seen anything like this on Earth. Lyra walked ahead, her movements graceful and steady, as if she had walked these paths countless times before. Marcus tried to keep up, but it was clear that she knew the terrain far better than he did. As they moved deeper into the jungle, the sounds of distant creatures filled the air. Growls, chirps, and rustling in the trees. Despite the beauty of the surroundings, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. How many people have tried to defeat this beast? Marcus asked, trying to make conversation as he adjusted the weight of the weapon on his back. Lyra glanced over her shoulder, her expression unreadable. Hundreds, maybe more. Warriors, mercenaries, even other aliens with advanced technology. But none have succeeded. Why not? Marcus pushed, his curiosity getting the better of him. What makes this beast so special? She stopped in her tracks and turned to face him. The serious look in her eyes gave Marcus a chill. The beast is not just a creature. It's a guardian. It protects something that no one has been able to uncover. It's not just about strength or fighting ability. It's about understanding what you're up against. Marcus frowned, unsure of what she meant. So it's like a test, a puzzle. Lyra nodded slightly. In a way. The beast is part of the jungle itself. It knows when someone comes to challenge it. And it will only show its true form when it's ready. Ready for what? Marcus asked, the question hanging in the thick air. Lyra hesitated. To reveal its secret, or to kill you. Marcus let out a breath. He had no idea what he had gotten himself into. He had thought he was here to simply face a monster. But now, it seemed like there was more to this challenge than he could have imagined. The beast wasn't just a threat. It was tied to the very heart of the jungle, to something ancient and powerful. "Why does your mother want this done?" Marcus asked. "What's the point of me defeating the beast?" Lyra's eyes darkened, and she glanced away, her gaze distant. "My mother's reasons are her own. But she believes that whoever can defeat the beast will be strong enough to lead this planet's people. But she's wrong. It's not about strength. It's about heart. And understanding." Marcus looked at her, unsure of what to say. The weight of his mission was growing heavier with each step they took deeper into the jungle. He wasn't just fighting for his life now. He was fighting for something bigger, something that he wasn't even sure he understood yet. As they reached a clearing, Lyra stopped. The trees parted to reveal a large rocky area, the ground scattered with thick roots and patches of dense vegetation. In the center stood a massive stone structure, worn with age and covered in vines. "This is where the beast lives," Lyra said quietly. "We have to be careful now. The jungle will react to our presence." Marcus looked around, the sense of being watched growing stronger. He had no idea what he was about to face. But one thing was certain: the challenge had only just begun. As Marcus stood in the clearing, he felt a chill run down his spine. The jungle had fallen silent, the usual sounds of distant creatures gone. It was as if everything was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Princess Lyra stood next to him, her eyes scanning the surroundings, and for the first time, Marcus noticed the unease in her posture. She had grown up with these forests, yet something about today was different. Even she seemed unsure. "We should get moving," Lyra said, breaking the silence. "The beast knows we're here now." Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of the sword on his back, an unfamiliar burden. He had never been trained to fight like this. Back on Earth, he'd been a trader, not a warrior. This was an entirely different world, and he felt out of place, a stranger in a battle he hadn't asked for. Still, the thought of the challenge ahead pushed him forward. If defeating the beast meant a chance with Lyra, then he had to try, no matter what. Lyra led him further into the jungle, each step taking them deeper into the heart of the unknown. The terrain became more difficult, the ground uneven and thick with roots. But the princess moved with ease, stepping over obstacles like she had done it 1,000 times before. Marcus struggled to keep up, stumbling once or twice as he tried to match her pace. "You're not used to this, are you?" Lyra asked, glancing back at him with a faint smile. Marcus wiped the sweat from his brow and gave her a sheepish grin. "I guess you could say I'm more used to negotiating deals than climbing trees." She laughed softly. "You're going to need more than just physical strength if you want to survive the jungle. It's not about speed or power. It's about listening to the land, understanding its rhythms." Marcus looked at her, confused. "What do you mean, listening to the land?" Lyra stopped and turned to face him. Her expression was serious now, no trace of the lightness from before. "The jungle is alive. It speaks to those who know how to listen. Every tree, every rock, every animal, they all have a purpose. The beast is a part of that purpose. It's not just a creature of destruction. It's a guardian, a protector of something ancient." Marcus took in her words, but his mind was racing. A protector? The beast was a protector of something. He hadn't imagined it like that. To him, the beast had always been just a threat, a monster to defeat. But now he wasn't sure. What if there was more to the story? "We need to train you," Lyra said, pulling him from his thoughts. "The beast is intelligent. It will watch you, learn from you. If you don't understand it, it will never fall." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You want to train me to fight a beast that's smarter than me?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, I can teach you how to use the jungle to your advantage. It's the only way." For the next several days, Lyra guided Marcus through the jungle, teaching him skills he never thought he'd need. They learned how to use the environment to move quietly, how to read the signs of the jungle, and how to survive with little more than their wits and their willpower. Marcus wasn't fast, but he was determined, and Lyra could see it in his eyes. As they spent more time together, their bond grew. Marcus saw a different side of Lyra, her quiet strength, her intelligence, and her kindness. She was no longer just the distant princess. She was someone who had seen the darker side of her mother's power, someone who understood the weight of expectations. And Marcus realized he wasn't just fighting for her hand anymore. He was fighting for her freedom, for the chance to choose her own path. They spent hours talking, sometimes in silence, sometimes laughing. In those moments, Marcus began to see the princess not as a royal figure, but as a person, someone he could understand, someone he could trust. On the last night before the final battle, Lyra sat beside Marcus by the campfire, the glow of the flames flickering across her face. "You're ready," she said quietly. "I believe in you." Marcus looked at her, his heart racing. He didn't know if he was ready, but he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't going to give up. Not now. Not when so much was at stake. The jungle around them grew quiet once again, as if it too was waiting for what was to come. The morning of the battle had come. Marcus could feel the weight of the day pressing down on him. He had trained hard, learned the ways of the jungle, and grown closer to Princess Lyra. But now, standing at the edge of the clearing where the beast was said to roam, he couldn't shake the feeling of dread in his chest. The air was thick with tension, and even the birds seemed to have gone silent. Lyra stood beside him, her face set with determination, but there was a trace of worry in her eyes. She had taught him everything she could, but now it was up to him to face the beast alone. "I'll be right here," she said, her voice steady but soft. "Remember what I taught you. Stay calm. Don't fight it head-on. The beast is more than just muscle. It's smart. Let it make the first move." Marcus nodded, though he wasn't sure if he believed he could defeat something so dangerous with just his wits. The beast was said to be faster than any creature, stronger than 100 warriors, and more vicious than anything Marcus had ever imagined. He wasn't sure if he was even capable of understanding it, let alone outsmarting it. Suddenly, a deep rumbling growl echoed through the clearing, sending a shiver down Marcus's spine. The ground seemed to shake as the massive creature emerged from the trees. Its eyes glowed a fierce yellow, and its sharp teeth were visible even from a distance. Its body was covered in thick, scaly armor, and its muscles rippled with power. The beast was as terrifying as the legends had described, a force of nature that seemed unstoppable. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling his heart race. He gripped his weapon tightly, unsure of what to do next. "You're not just fighting for yourself, Marcus," Lyra's voice echoed in his mind. "You're fighting for all of us." The beast advanced, its gaze fixed on Marcus. The ground beneath it cracked with each step. It was coming for him, its growl growing louder. Marcus had no choice now but to act. Remembering Lyra's words, he moved quickly, dodging to the side as the beast lunged toward him with terrifying speed. He barely managed to avoid the sharp claws that slashed through the air, missing him by inches. He didn't have time to think. The beast was fast, too fast for him to fight directly. Instead, he relied on the skills Lyra had taught him. He darted into the thick jungle, using the trees and rocks for cover. He knew the beast would follow, but he also knew the jungle was his ally. The trees were dense, the underbrush thick, and if he could just stay ahead, he might be able to find a way to outwit the creature. The beast roared, its footsteps heavy as it crashed through the jungle in pursuit. Marcus moved silently, listening to the sound of the creature's movements. He knew he had to use the jungle's rhythm, just like Lyra had shown him. He was part of the jungle now, and the jungle would help him. Suddenly, he heard the beast stop. The air grew still, and Marcus's heart raced. He crouched low, waiting, listening carefully. Then, without warning, the beast lunged from behind a massive tree, its jaws snapping. This time, Marcus was ready. He dodged to the side again, and the beast collided with a large tree instead of its intended target. The beast let out a furious roar, shaking the tree, but it didn't stop its pursuit. Marcus's breath came fast. This wasn't going to be easy. The first strike had barely missed him, and he could already tell that the beast wasn't just attacking blindly. It was studying him. It knew he was different. It knew he was human. He needed to stay focused, to keep moving and thinking. The real battle had just begun. The beast was relentless. It moved with terrifying speed, crashing through the dense jungle after Marcus like a living storm. The ground shook with each step it took, and the roar of its fury echoed through the trees. Marcus had barely avoided the first strike, and now he was struggling to stay ahead, weaving through the jungle, his breath coming in short, desperate gasps. His heart pounded in his chest. The beast was relentless, a blur of scales and fury, and Marcus realized that no matter how fast he ran, he wouldn't be able to outpace it forever. His strength wasn't enough. His speed wasn't enough. He was running out of options. Suddenly, there was a rustling in the bushes beside him. Before he could react, a figure appeared from the shadows. A flash of movement, swift and silent. It was Princess Lyra. She moved with grace, her presence almost ghostly in the thick jungle. She was holding a long, curved blade, and despite the danger, there was a calm determination in her eyes. "You're going to need help," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The jungle is on your side, but you need to understand it better. I can show you." Marcus barely had time to process her words before the beast's growl sounded from behind them. The ground trembled again as it closed in, its glowing eyes fixed on Marcus. He had no time to argue, no time to question. They were both in danger, and the only way out was to work together. Lyra grabbed Marcus's arm, pulling him toward a large tree nearby. "Climb," she ordered. "We need to get higher. The beast can't reach us there." Without thinking, Marcus followed her instructions, scrambling up the tree's rough bark. He wasn't sure how he was doing it, but the adrenaline was keeping him focused. Lyra was already several feet above him, her movements as fluid as water. The beast was almost upon them, its growls now deafening, but it stopped just short of the tree. It circled below them, its massive body thrashing against the tree trunk, shaking the leaves and branches. Marcus clung to the tree, doing his best to stay silent, to stay hidden. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, but Lyra remained calm, her eyes fixed on the creature below. "It won't leave," she said quietly. "It's testing you. It's trying to see if you'll give up. If you do, it will destroy you." Marcus swallowed hard, trying to steady his breath. "What do I do?" Lyra looked at him, her expression serious. "You have to prove that you're worthy of its respect. Not just through force, but through your will. The jungle understands strength, but it also understands heart. If you show it that you're not afraid, it might give you a chance." Marcus took a deep breath, his hands shaking as he tightened his grip on the tree. He had been running, fighting, trying to survive, but now he understood what Lyra meant. This wasn't just about fighting the beast. It was about proving he had the will to stand firm, to face fear without backing down. The beast below them let out a frustrated roar, but Marcus didn't flinch. He wasn't going to run anymore. He was going to face it. He looked at Lyra, who gave him a small, encouraging nod. He felt a flicker of hope inside him. Maybe he wasn't as alone in this fight as he had thought. "I'm ready," Marcus said, his voice steady for the first time since the battle began. Lyra's eyes softened, and for the first time, Marcus saw a hint of admiration in her gaze. "Then let's show the beast what humans are really made of." With that, Marcus and Lyra prepared to descend from the tree, ready to face the creature together. The fight was far from over, but now, with Lyra at his side, Marcus felt a new sense of determination. He wasn't just fighting for his life anymore. He was fighting for something greater. And for the first time, he truly believed he could win. The beast was still circling below, its glowing yellow eyes never leaving Marcus and Lyra. The air was thick with tension, and the jungle around them seemed to hold its breath. The massive creature growled, scratching at the tree trunk in frustration. Every sound, every movement it made was a reminder of the danger they faced. Marcus felt the sweat drip down his forehead, his grip on the tree tight, and his heart racing. He was exhausted, both mentally and physically. But as he glanced at Lyra, he saw the calm determination in her eyes. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't panicking. In that moment, Marcus realized something important. If he was going to survive, he needed to think like Lyra. He needed to use his mind, not just his strength. Lyra turned to him and whispered, "This is the moment. You have to show it you're not afraid. You have to take control of the jungle." Marcus nodded. He wasn't sure how, but he trusted her. He had to trust her. Lyra had taught him to move with the jungle, to listen to the land, and now was the time to put it all together. The beast roared again, its massive claws scraping against the tree as it tried to climb after them. Marcus knew they couldn't stay in the tree forever. He needed to face it. But how? He remembered something Lyra had told him earlier. The beast is part of the jungle. It listens to the rhythm of the land. If you can match that rhythm, you can control the fight. With that in mind, Marcus closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He blocked out the beast's growls, the sound of it clawing at the tree, and focused on the world around him. He could feel the pulse of the jungle beneath him, the gentle sway of the branches in the wind, the rustle of leaves, and the hum of life all around. It wasn't just noise. It was a rhythm. The jungle had a heartbeat, just like the rest of the world. If he could tap into that, he could understand the beast. It wasn't just a mindless predator. It was part of the same cycle, part of the same world. Slowly, Marcus lowered himself from the tree, moving with the flow of the jungle. He didn't rush or force it. He let the land guide him, just like Lyra had taught him. The beast paused, sensing the change in the air. It stopped circling, its eyes narrowing in suspicion. Marcus could feel the beast's gaze on him, watching, waiting for him to make the first move. But this time, Marcus wasn't running. This time, he was in control. He stepped forward, his movements calm and steady. He didn't show fear. He didn't show weakness. He stood tall, facing the creature head-on, matching the rhythm of the jungle with each step. The beast growled, its claws twitching, but it didn't move. It was waiting for him to make the wrong move, to show weakness. But Marcus wasn't going to give it that satisfaction. Lyra watched from the shadows, her heart pounding in her chest. She had seen many fight the beast before, but none had done it like this. Marcus wasn't just fighting the beast with his strength. He was fighting with his mind. He was showing the jungle he understood its rhythm, its pulse. And the jungle, it seemed, was starting to listen. The beast snarled again, taking a step forward. But Marcus didn't flinch. He stood his ground. "Come on," he whispered under his breath. "I'm not going anywhere." The beast lunged, but this time, Marcus was ready. He dodged to the side, using the jungle's rhythm to guide him. The beast missed, crashing into the ground with a mighty roar. It was off balance, vulnerable for just a moment. That was all Marcus needed. He darted forward, using the crystal energy he had gathered from the jungle's pulse to strike. His move wasn't violent. It was swift, calculated. He used the force of the jungle to guide his hand, finding a weak spot in the beast's armor. The beast howled in pain, staggering back, surprised by the human's sudden turn of skill. Marcus didn't stop. He pressed forward, not with brute force, but with the calm and power of the jungle itself. The beast, once sure of its victory, was now confused, thrown off balance by Marcus's unexpected strength. It was no longer just a mindless monster. It was a creature caught in the dance of the jungle, unsure of the human who had entered its world. Lyra watched, her heart filled with hope. She had believed in Marcus from the beginning, but now she saw something even greater. He wasn't just fighting for survival. He was fighting for a chance at something more, and it was working. The beast was losing, and Marcus, the human who had been nothing but an outsider in this jungle, was now the one in control. The battle was far from over, but Marcus had taken the first real step toward victory, and for the first time, he truly believed that he might just win this fight. The jungle was still. The air, once thick with tension, had become oddly quiet. The beast was no longer charging with wild rage. Instead, it was circling, cautious now. It had felt Marcus's strength, his understanding of the jungle's pulse, and it was no longer the mindless monster it had once been in its mind. The creature was learning, just like Marcus. Marcus stood tall in the clearing, the energy of the jungle swirling around him. His heart raced, but his mind was calm. This wasn't just about defeating the beast anymore. This was about proving that humans, no matter how small or fragile they seemed, had the ability to adapt, to learn, to fight for what they believed in. He wasn't just fighting for the Queen's promise. He was fighting for his place in this world, for his freedom, and for Lyra's. The beast let out a low growl, its eyes narrowing as it studied him. Its body, a mass of muscle and scales, was still formidable, but it was slower now, less sure of itself. It knew that Marcus wasn't just a prey it could hunt. He had become a challenge, something the beast had not encountered before. The jungle, once the beast's domain, was now an ally to Marcus. The rhythm of the land had changed. Marcus gripped his weapon, a simple blade that felt almost insignificant compared to the size of the beast. But the jungle had taught him something far more important. It wasn't about the weapon. It was about understanding, about being one with the land around him. The beast lunged once more, faster than Marcus had anticipated. But this time, Marcus didn't move out of the way. Instead, he stood firm, focusing on the rhythm of the jungle. As the beast reached him, he sidestepped, using the momentum of the creature's own attack to push it off balance. The beast crashed into the ground, stunned for a moment. This was his chance. Marcus didn't hesitate. He rushed forward, using the energy he had gathered from the jungle to strike with precision. His blade, though small, found its mark. He cut through a weak point in the beast's armor, a vulnerable spot that had been exposed when it lunged at him. The creature howled in pain, its massive body convulsing as it struggled to rise. The jungle trembled with the force of the beast's rage. But Marcus stood his ground, his feet planted firmly on the ground. He had done it. He had outsmarted the beast, not with brute force, but with patience and understanding. The jungle had given him the strength he needed, and now it was showing him that he was more than just a man from Earth. He was part of this world, part of the land. Lyra stepped forward from the shadows, her eyes wide with disbelief. She had seen many fight the beast, but no one had ever fought it like Marcus. He wasn't just defeating it. He was understanding it. He was connecting with the land, with the rhythm of the jungle. The beast struggled, its strength fading with every movement. It let out a final roar, one last desperate attempt to fight back. But Marcus was already there, standing over it, his blade in hand. The creature's body slowly collapsed, its massive form stilling in the dirt. For a moment, everything was quiet again. The jungle, once filled with the sounds of battle, now hummed softly, as if in approval. Marcus stood there, panting, his body exhausted but victorious. He had done it. Against all odds, he had defeated the beast. Lyra approached him slowly, her face filled with awe and admiration. She had never imagined that a human could do what Marcus had just done. The Queen's challenge had seemed impossible, but Marcus had proven that humanity's strength didn't lie in their physical power. It was in their resilience, their ability to adapt and fight for what mattered. "You did it," Lyra whispered, her voice soft with disbelief. "You really did it." Marcus looked at her, his breath still coming in sharp gasps. "It wasn't just me. It was the jungle, too. It helped me." Lyra smiled, her eyes bright with something more than admiration. "And you'll always have it on your side, Marcus. You'll always have it." As they stood there together, the jungle around them seemed to pulse with life. Marcus had not only defeated the beast, he had earned his place in this world. And with Lyra by his side, he knew that whatever came next, he would face it with the strength of the jungle and the heart of a human. The sounds of the jungle seemed to settle after the battle, as if the world itself was taking a deep breath. The beast lay still in the clearing, defeated. Its once mighty roar was nothing more than a fading echo. Marcus stood over it, his body aching from the struggle, but there was a sense of peace in his chest. The challenge had been terrifying, but now it was over. Lyra approached him slowly, her eyes never leaving the fallen creature. She had watched from a distance, her heart pounding in her chest. She had believed in Marcus from the start, but even she had doubted whether he could truly defeat the beast. Now she was witnessing the impossible. He had done it. He had defeated the legendary monster that no one else had ever even come close to. "You did it," Lyra whispered, her voice full of awe. She stood beside him, her gaze fixed on the fallen beast. I never believed it was possible. But you did it." Marcus, still breathing heavily, glanced at her. His muscles were sore, but the pride in her eyes made everything worth it. "I couldn't have done it without you," he said, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. "You showed me how to fight in this jungle. You showed me how to listen to it." Lyra smiled, but there was something more in her eyes. It wasn't just admiration or relief. There was a spark of something deeper, something more than the simple challenge the Queen had set for him. For the first time, Marcus truly understood the depth of the situation. This wasn't just about defeating the beast. It was about proving that a human, despite all odds, could earn his place in a world that was not his own. But the task wasn't over yet. There was still the matter of the Queen, who had set this challenge in the first place. The journey was far from complete, and Marcus knew that facing the Queen would be just as difficult as facing the beast. "Let's go back," Marcus said, looking toward the palace. "We need to show the Queen." Lyra nodded, her expression shifting from awe to determination. "She won't believe it. No one ever has." They began walking back toward the palace, the journey feeling much longer now. The weight of what Marcus had accomplished still hung in the air. He had defeated the beast, but what would the Queen think? The legendary monster, feared by so many, lay at his feet. But to the Queen, it was never supposed to be defeated by a human. It was an impossible task, meant to show the limits of human strength. When they finally arrived at the palace, Marcus felt his nerves return. He had done the impossible, but the Queen had never believed it could happen. What would her reaction be? Would she be proud of him, or angry that a mere human had managed to accomplish what no alien had been able to do? They entered the grand hall of the palace, where Queen Zarathana was waiting. The moment her eyes landed on Marcus, her gaze turned cold, disbelief flashing across her face. "You've returned," she said, her voice sharp and controlled. "I assume you failed." Marcus stood tall, despite the exhaustion still weighing on him. He didn't flinch under her cold stare. "I haven't failed," he said quietly. "I defeated the beast." The Queen's eyes narrowed, her expression unreadable. "Impossible," she muttered under her breath. No human could ever do such a thing. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady but firm. "He did it, Mother. Marcus defeated the beast. It's over." For a long moment, there was only silence. The Queen stared at Marcus, her mind clearly racing. She had set the challenge, expecting failure, expecting proof that humans were no match for her people. But now, here stood Marcus, victorious, with the beast defeated. Finally, the Queen spoke, her voice low but filled with grudging respect. "You've done what no one else has ever done. And for that, I suppose I owe you my congratulations." Her tone softened, but only slightly. "But that doesn't mean I've changed my mind. My daughter's future is still in question." Marcus felt his heart sink. He had defeated the beast, but the queen's pride was still standing in the way. He had won, but it seemed like the real battle was just beginning. I didn't defeat the beast just for her, Marcus said, his voice unwavering. I did it because I believe in the future of this planet, and I believe in Lyra. I'm not just here for a marriage contract. I'm here to prove that humans belong, that we have a place in this world. The queen studied him for a long time, her eyes filled with conflict. Finally, she spoke again, her tone softer than before. You may have earned your place here, Marcus, but there's much more to do before I can accept you into our world, and into my family. Lyra glanced at Marcus, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. The queen's words hung in the air like a heavy fog, still lingering despite her softening tone. Marcus stood silently, his heart pounding in his chest. He had won. He had defeated the beast, but the battle was far from over. The queen's respect wasn't easily earned, and she wasn't one to give away her trust so quickly. Lyra stood beside him, her expression a mix of hope and uncertainty. She had been waiting for this moment for so long, hoping that the queen would see Marcus for what he truly was, a man who had defied all odds. But the queen's words made it clear that Marcus still had much to prove. You've earned the right to speak to me, Marcus, Queen Zarathana said, her voice cold but not dismissive. But there is more to this world than simply defeating a beast. There are customs, traditions that you must understand if you are to have a place here. Marcus nodded, determined not to let her words shake him. He had come this far, and he wasn't about to give up now. I understand, he said. I'm willing to learn, to do whatever it takes to prove that I belong. The queen studied him for a moment, as if weighing his words carefully. You may have defeated the beast, but the question remains, are you strong enough to lead? To be part of something greater than yourself? The challenges ahead will not be so easily conquered. I'm not here to lead, Marcus said firmly, his voice steady. I'm here because I believe in the future of this planet, and in Lyra. I believe in the people here, and I'm willing to stand by them, no matter what. The queen's gaze softened ever so slightly, and for a moment, Marcus thought he saw a flicker of something deeper in her eyes, something that wasn't just pride or skepticism, but perhaps a hint of approval. You are a strange one, human, the queen said, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her lips. You do not seek power or fame. You seek something far more difficult to achieve, respect and understanding. Perhaps there is more to you than I first thought. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes shining with emotion. Mother, Marcus has proven himself. He's earned your respect, and mine. She turned to Marcus, a soft smile on her face. He's not just a warrior. He's someone who fights for what's right. The queen looked at her daughter, and for a moment, there was a silence between them. Then the queen spoke, her voice quieter now, almost tender. I see the way you look at him, Lyra, and I can see the change in you as well. You've always been strong, but now you are something more. Lyra nodded, her eyes never leaving Marcus. He's made me believe in something I didn't think was possible. He's shown me that there is always hope, even in the darkest moments. The queen finally turned her gaze back to Marcus. Her eyes, once filled with doubt and pride, now held something else, something that resembled respect. You have earned your place here, Marcus, but your journey is not over. There will be more trials, more obstacles. You will have to prove yourself again and again, not just to me, but to the people of this planet. Marcus met her gaze with confidence. I'm ready. For the first time, the queen's smile was genuine, though still tempered by her regal nature. Then let us see what you are truly made of. Lyra stepped forward, taking Marcus's hand. This is just the beginning, she said softly. Together, we can face anything. Marcus looked down at her hand in his and then back at the queen. He had fought the beast. He had earned the queen's respect. But now, he realized, the real journey was just starting. He wasn't here to conquer or claim power. He was here to fight for what mattered: love, hope, and a future that could be shared between two very different worlds. As they stood together, the jungle outside the palace seemed to breathe with them, a quiet promise in the air that no matter what the future held, Marcus and Lyra would face it side by side, ready to build a new beginning.